welcome back to the Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance Show right here in your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.
And remember, our goal is always to guide you to personal and financial wellness.
Well, we're excited to have you join us for another wonderful show of the Don and Gino Show. That's right. For over 8 years, we've been guiding you to personal and financial wellness with the best professionals we can have. And we're excited about the new studio. I'm going to talk about it for a little longer because I'm really excited about this. We had the same radio-style studio for 8 years, and now we're going more casual.
Actually, let's talk about that for 2 seconds because that's not true. We started at the studio, at the station.
Oh, that's true.
Then we moved into this little ugly recording booth. Remember that?
Yeah.
A tiny little recording booth. That was horrible. And then we had our beautiful studio at the bank. Remember we had our
the Vault Media
That's
Studio,
what it was,
because it
the Vault
used to be
Media
where the
Studio.
vault was, actually.
That's right. And then we moved into the studio that we've had here. So we've gone through evolutions of studios.
That's
and,
right. And we're still here. You can't get rid of us.
Yeah. So projection, a couple years in the future, this too shall change.
Yes, no doubt. So our goal, again, is always to guide you to personal financial wellness. You can find out more by going to donandgino.com. Check out our YouTube channel. There's thousands of YouTube videos giving you updates from the greatest professionals we can find, and these are professionals we personally use. And we put a lot of these professionals together in America's Professional Resource Group, which is aprgi.com. And one of our favorite professionals that we use for everything, business, personal, professional, insurance of any kind, plus he's a good friend of ours, go Kings, go Rams, all that good stuff. Woo!
Yeah, you're not a sports fan at all.
Mr. Carlos Villalobos is in the house again. You've been here, I don't know, 3 dozen times now, probably?
Probably. It seems like a long time. But I enjoy it every time I come in, and so it's kind of fun.
Well, you always educate us, and that's why we keep giving you more and more insurance. We're like, there's no way we're not using Carlos, because you keep teaching us stuff going, wow, if we didn't know that, we would not be properly insured.
And I am going to say, I also am able to teach other people what you teach us. So
yeah. I think that's very good.
I'm able to share that because I know that I've sat with a couple of other professionals and I'm like, you should really take this into consideration. It makes me sound really brilliant, by the way.
And he needs all the help he can get.
Well, once you stop learning in this profession, or for that matter, in any profession.
Absolutely.
Pretty much at the beginning of the end.
Yeah.
So in my industry, it changes all the time.
You do your homework, without a doubt, because you always bring stuff that you studied and said, here's the changes, here's what's happening, here's the pitfalls, here's what to watch out for. And today you got some great education and some be carefuls.
Correct.
Which are imperative.
We're seeing some trends lately in the industry by professionals that are just trying to make a living, of course, but sometimes cutting corners unless the person that is buying the product is aware of could be a problem.
So is it cutting corners, and I ask this because I think our industry is about to go through it. Real estate is going through it. So there is a great shift, and we're seeing people retire and get out of the business. All the people with the 30, 40 years experience, they're getting out. Right? And so you got all these kids, and you got a kids market, and you got kids coming in that maybe don't know any better. So are they doing it because they're naive, or are they doing it because they actually think that's the only way to stay alive?
That's a great question.
I know, that's a landmine, isn't it?
That could probably take more time than we have.
Okay. Well, fair enough.
I think it's a combination of both. I think that the old-timers like myself have been around the block. We've seen things. We kind of adjusted. Once we adjust, things change again. Whereas the new generation is sometimes wanting to make that sale regardless of the product, regardless of thinking it out and saying what ifs.
I just think that, just from my experience, when I first came into this business, I was naive. I didn't know. So you look to your mentors. Your mentors say, do this. So you do that, and you don't know that,
Yeah.
And so one of the things we're talking about today, there is no way that you walk in and you get that kind of mentor training. It says, because of this and that, so when you sell this, remind to tell them about that. I doubt that anybody gets that kind of training.
Well, my staff thinks I'm a pain in the behind because I'm always on them and asking the questions. Did you ask this? Did you do this? And they go, yeah. And once in a while they don't. And it's okay because, I'm the boss and I have to make sure everybody knows what they're doing. But it takes time. It takes patience. It takes learning. You got to keep learning. And you got to make sure you do the right thing for the insured. And what's right for you, Gino, may not be right for Don. And as long as you're aware of it, then it's okay, you know, because that's the key.
Now, is that you maybe touched on something too, is that you help find what's right for us, what's right for the individual. And I always have this contention, I'm not going to put you in this position, but I have the contention that when you deal with a company like AAA, they do what's right for them. When you call a AAA agent, they work for AAA, they respond to AAA, their only thing they care about is protecting that insurance policy. They're not in the business of paying claims, they're in the business of writing policies. Versus, I believe that you're saying, what are your personal needs? Let me find a policy that suits you.
Right, and we're not going to throw AAA
That's
under the
a pretty
bus.
general statement.
I like AAA. They're a great company. The problem with AAA, and listen, is that there's no agents. There's just people that work there for a year, 2 years, 3 years, and then they go on and you get somebody else. So what happens is that they're always learning the business. They're not in the business. They're learning the business.
Well, you've adapted with us over the years. Hey, Don, I know you've taken on this.
We're
I
hard
know
to
you've
keep
taken,
up with.
I know. Oh, you got this other property.
Yeah.
Do you have that protected? Oh, do you have your trust? And do you have an umbrella policy now that you have these other properties? You ask the questions.
I only invite him to the show to make sure we're well protected.
I know, because we
That's what he finds out.
Yeah,
But
the end of
even
the-
myself,
He goes, "You did what?"
yeah, even myself sometimes, you know, I'll forget or I'll do something and I go, I can't believe I did that. And I have to go back and fix it. You know, because nowadays that's very common that a lot of properties are in trust. And yet the trust is nowhere on the insurance documents at all.
Well, what I also like is
That was one of the things
you've taught us
ran home and changed
to
everything.
ask questions. Like before, we're just like, oh, they should know. Well, how are they going to know all that you're doing without asking questions? Hey, by the
Yes.
way, we're doing this. Hey, by the way, we bought new studio equipment at our business. Does that matter? Hey, we're doing construction in our house. Does that matter? You know, all those little things. Now we ask questions because
Correct.
you give us the answer, yes or no, and it doesn't.
That
cost
is
us-
perfect, though, asking questions. You know, you need to call me at 661-255-8282 and ask your questions. Or better yet, send me an email at carlosvinsurance@gmail.com and we'll be happy to answer all your questions.
Yeah, because that's a key thing, without a doubt.
There's two things, right? It's twofold. One is you're there to answer all our questions, but you're also there to ask us questions we don't know to ask ourselves. And I think that that's important as well.
Yes, we try to do that with all the clients. It's very difficult sometimes, but, you know, I can't talk to all of my clients all the time. It's impossible. But I do have staff that hopefully is doing the same thing. And when I do get involved on your policy, then you probably don't want to talk to me because I have all these questions that, oh, how come you didn't ask me that last time? I go, well, because I didn't think of it probably. You know,
Yeah, or
but-
you didn't, you know, for us, it's how much do I share? What is it I need to share? What is it I don't need to share? So, you don't know. You know,
I'm not a pushy salesman. That
You aren't.
from
No.
day
That's
one.
why we
day
send our
one,
clients
I've
your
always
direction.
learned offer your services, explain coverages, let the consumer choose.
But that's why
And I
it's easy
sleep
for
good
us
at
to
night.
refer you. And that's why we can refer our clients, because we
Right.
know you're not going to shove something down their throat.
Right,
You're like, hey,
it's-
here's what I think. And a good portion of our clients who, trust our services and our advice are smart enough to use your services and your advice because they realize there's a difference between working with a true professional that's got their best interests in mind, has been around the block, experienced, and going to protect them.
We sometimes will lose a sale. We're quoting a product. Another agent's quoting the same product, but we're giving them more coverages than the other agent's giving them, and we refused to lower the premium and not give them the coverages that we think are vital.
You're teeing up our next segment, aren't you?
Because,
Carlos?
because that is, to me, it's just, I don't want to do that. I don't want to make, an extra $20 or not make an extra $20 cutting corners.
All right, so let's get into that because we just talked again. There's a theme to our show today is choosing the right professional. That's where we're starting off with our first segment because it's imperative, and that's why we work with Carlos Villalobos and Carlos Villalobos Insurance. Jim Reap was just here. We think they're the best professionals there are. So next, you have two great topics for us to
Yes.
talk about. The first one's basically going in depth about
Special form versus name perils. That's something that we're seeing very common in the industry
these are those
today.
corners that you got to be careful.
To you, but
Yeah,
we'll
we'll
go
explain
over
it.
Yeah.
And the other one is personal injury. We're seeing a lot of policies that are not having that endorsement, which could be a problem if you need it. I'll give you some examples in the next segment.
All right, cool. You got to stay tuned. This is always great stuff on the Don and Gino Show. That's why we do this every week. We love what we do, and we got great professionals, so stay tuned. We'll be right back.